Brilliant. Is there an option to click on record as well? Additionally, no worries. Hi everyone. Just a few more minutes to go before we start the session. Shraddha, hope you're well. We are just waiting for some more people to join. I can see some activity going on, and I can see that we're putting it on multiple channels. So just keeping an eye on various windows on who is joining where. We'll also share this on some of our community groups so that people can join directly. Brilliant. This is 3:30 on the dot. Shazad, if you're okay, let's give it a start.
Yeah, let's start.
Brilliant. Welcome everyone to this session about social media for business. My name is Jeev Sahu, Sahu like Yahoo, and I'm privileged to be joined by Shazad Sarwar, the director of Gulf Media Experts. Today we are going to talk about some strategies for social media, especially for small businesses, and we will keep it conversational. Thank you for those who have contributed to the wonderful charity Walk the Walk, mainly because all the proceeds of this particular workshop are going towards Walk the Walk. So, sincere thanks for contributing to a wonderful cause. And let me start by sharing that even though I call it small businesses, we're not really small. Small businesses just in the UK employ way over 16 million people. Can you believe that? I feel that small businesses are those with the problems of a large business, but the money of a small business. So we are here to grow together and understand how can we actually be agile enough, be clever enough to compete with the best of the best. And in an environment where the information about social media is so much, we need to talk to experts like Shazad, who have he has been helping a number of businesses on taking the next step in social media. Today will be a fundamental course, and we will be following up with detailed workshops as well. So, without further delay, Shazad, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Jeev. I'm really well, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So, tell us a bit more about Gulf Media, and let's dive into the main topic. We can see the screen, social media for business. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jeev. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Shazad, and my company is Gulf Media Experts. We are a social media management agency. We help brands grow on social media on various different platforms. this is the first of its kind workshop that myself and Jeev and Step It Up company academy is actually doing it together. So so massive thanks for Step It Up team for the collaboration, and also thank you everyone who donated for this workshop, which all the proceeds are going to Walk the Walk charity. So thank you, every single one of you. Let's dive in. As Jeev said, I'll just give you a brief introduction about Gulf Media Experts. Um, who's Gulf Media Experts? As I said, we help businesses to grow on social media. We help all their content to be scheduled on all the various different platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or anything else. All the major platforms we take care of. Then we also do video editing as well, because I think video editing is very important to be part of your social media strategy and your marketing strategy. So we provide that service as well. We also do content creation. So video editing is one part of it, but then content creation is kind of like bringing everything together and making sure all of your marketing strategy is aligned to your social media, your content creation as well. But not only that, we sit with businesses and provide them advice, guidance, and direction on where to grow on social media, which platform to focus on, and also to plan for the future growth as well on each platform. Um, so yeah, this is in a nutshell. This is who we are. We have been
That's
helping a few local businesses locally as well, but we have clients outside of the UK as well. We are based in the UK, and we have a base in Dubai as well. Sorry, Jeev,
amazing.
there was a question.
Yeah, I see some people are joining from other countries as well, and this is being streamed not just on LinkedIn but on TikTok and YouTube and so forth. So, people, I'm keeping an eye on various windows over here, and the good thing is, in an age where being digital is the norm and being online is the norm, it's like people are considering that being global has become the usual thing. So thank you for helping these small businesses. When you contact these small businesses, do they come up with a clear strategy, or do you have to walk through them? How does it work when you meet somebody new? Are they focusing on social media, or are they focusing on your business? Where do you come?
That's a very good question, Jeev, and it varies. The landscape is quite broad. Some businesses have a very clear idea of where they want to go, and how they want to approach their sort of expansion. Whereas we come across some businesses who wants to grow. They are very passionate and they're very eager to grow, but sometimes they're lacking the direction. And because, as you rightly said in the beginning, there is the business is growing on social media and on digitally actually as a whole. So where we come in is we try to give guidance and direction on each platform. Of course, all the platforms are different. They treat the content differently. You can't have one piece of content that goes on LinkedIn and the same you can't just post it on TikTok, because the audience are very different, right?
Yeah,
And so you have to understand where your users are, who you're targeting. And we'll cover
definitely.
this in
Yeah.
later in the slides anyway, but the mindset is quite broad actually.
Amazing. And of course, I think you are about to answer that in the upcoming slides, but unless you target where your audience lives, where your decision makers live, it's like spraying and praying rather than targeted approach. So it would be better to know if the decision makers are on LinkedIn, if they're on TikTok, depending on the age and so forth, because otherwise it can go, especially for a small business, and I am speaking from experience. You can put money and nothing happens, right? So please carry on.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good example. And as we speak, we are streaming this on a various different platforms actually. So, of course, not every platform is for this kind of content, but we have chosen just the right platforms to stream this on. So, and later on we'll talk about repurposing the content as well. So let's dive into a bit more detail, and then hopefully these things will make a bit more sense. So today's agenda, just to give you a brief overview, we're going to go through the foundations of growth, because I think this is a fundamental step. Before we do anything, we need to know, what is the strategy that is going to work for us, for our business, and for our market. Then we're going to focus on the platform, each platform as well. We'll focus mostly on LinkedIn, but again, for any new business who's about to launch or who's new in social media, in our opinion, you should focus on all the platforms. Create different types of content, but of course, your presence should be on every platform. So that's why we're kind of going to touch on all the platforms, and see where are the kind of like the hidden gems, where are the secrets of the algorithms and stuff like that. Then I'm going to talk about a few real life examples, because I think it's important that we show where these algorithms are sort of targeting your sort of statistics and usage and everything else, and we can put that to practice as well. And we'll finish on Q and A's basically. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Feel free to just put in the comments, and you can also
For the
reach out.
audience, I just want to say that I'm looking at YouTube, I'm looking at TikTok at this point, just so that if you have questions on various platforms, I'll make sure that I convey them to Shazad and he will answer them.
Thank you so much, Jeev. Okay, so what we can do, I mean, ask yourself, the question: what is your biggest sort of challenge right now from any of the social media platforms? Think about LinkedIn, think about Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads as well. Threads is becoming more and more famous and popular, and Instagram is, and Meta as a whole is pushing Threads quite aggressively. So ask yourself a question: what is your sort of biggest challenge? And hopefully in the next coming slides we will be able to answer it. Or if you don't answer it, please leave the comments question in your comments, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
We got one question here. So which one and how much? I mean, this is one of the key questions for any business, and I'm sure Shazad is going to create a structured approach into which one would be the targeted one, and how much is a never-ending question. And of course, we will talk about that as well. But that's a really good comment. And someone else is asking, is Threads really important? Well, Shazad will touch upon that, I hope. So that is another one coming. Brilliant. Let's go on. I'll keep pinging them.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, keep these questions coming, because I think this is going to fuel the conversation, and also it will help us to explain more, and also clarify these concerns and questions as well. So I will answer these questions in the next coming slides. But just to sort of dive into the first section. Now, I talk about different platforms, and you may have heard on these platforms, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, you might have heard beat the algorithm, right? It's not always about beating the algorithm. I think it's understanding what really these platforms are looking for, so that we can grow on social media. I always say, instead of beating the algorithm, let's understand the algorithm so that we can work with the algorithm, right? So that needs to be our mindset when we are looking at the strategy, when we are putting the content together, and so on and so forth. So the first one is these platforms, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, they are moving away from the old school, the old style, like a picture, like a video, like a comment and stuff like that. They're going more towards, sharing and sort of saving your content. The more you share, the more these platforms think that your content is good, and that's why people are sharing it. If you save it, it also give priority and more kind of, it's more valued in their opinion and in their eyes. So yes, the simple answer, the simple feedback is yes, likes count, but they don't count as much as saves and shares. Whether you share it on the same platform, whether you share it on a different platform, it doesn't really matter. But what really matters is, are you sharing it? Are you saving it? That's a sort of
And when you're saying about saving, it's like people bookmarking or saving into their, like, this is an article I read or this is a comment I read, and I save it to my account to read later, which shows value in that article, how much time people are spending on it and coming back to see the value as well.
absolutely. And when the good thing about saving is, when you save something, you will always come back to it, right? Which means the platforms think that, oh, this content is good, and that's why this content is keeping bringing the users to the platform again and again. The next one is I want to talk about is community. Now, many this is very common in all the platforms, but in our opinion, Facebook and Meta as a whole is very, very focused on this. They want to build communities. They want to build those sort of groups where people are connected really, really well, whether it's the local Facebook groups that you may have heard of or be part of as well, or whether it's a fan page, for example, or whether you are you have a brand, a company, and you grow your fan following, basically. So community is very important these days as well. um, and So the next one is, sorry, I was just checking a few comments here. The next one is authenticity, and I think a lot of the platforms now prefer authentic content, not edited in a fancy or glamorous way. Because when we talk about doing business, people actually buy from people, and a lot of the time what we have seen is there is these platforms will favor the kind of the behind the scenes sort of content a lot more. The best way I say to my clients is, when they say, what's the best way of creating behind the scene, and I say, when you walk into your office or your studio or your workplace, start creating content, shoot something, just even if it's a 10 seconds, 20 seconds video, create that, because that shows that there's a genuine business and genuine people behind this account, right?
And
So
this also applies to hybrid thing and online things as well. I mean, we do some trainings, and when the trainer is about to log in, they click a picture or something of that kind. They post something behind the scenes as they're getting ready for something on Zoom. It I mean, many people these days don't have a physical office, which is a good thing, but definitely there are other behind the scenes kind of thing that are happening. The preparation that goes on, the hard work that goes on, it shows authenticity rather than, here is a polished version of something. And especially these days, so much of artificially generated content is there, which may look amazing, but is not authentic.
totally, and this is exactly where we are trying to encourage people to use more authentic, genuine content, so that it is clearly separated and identified as a genuine human content, sorry, rather than AI generated and stuff like that. So okay, moving on to the next slide. Earlier on, when I was talking about the doing the intro, one of the thing is I always say to the clients is understand who are we talking to, right? Because on social media, you post content, but you don't know who's gonna come across this and who's gonna see that. So there's one thing that you think, oh, I have, let's say, 5,000 or 10,000 followers, and all of those people are going to see my content. But there is a big portion that don't follow you or don't follow your account, and they're going to come across your content. So understanding who are we targeting is very important. Where do they hang out? And I know, Jeev, you mentioned about in one of your recent workshops actually about ideal candidate profile, and this
Client
is
profile,
exactly that.
ICP, ideal client avatar, ideal client profile. Yes.
Yeah. This is exactly that. And we are targeting those online actually. So what platforms do they hang out on? Where are they present? Are they present on LinkedIn? Are they present on Facebook, on TikTok? What kind of content are they actually watching? And so on and so forth. um, and the main thing really is, the bottom line is, what problem are we trying to solve for them, right? Because if we don't add any value to somebody's life or somebody's if we don't fix their problems, then our content is completely useless, right?
No, in fact, I just saw a comment from Isabel who mentioned that people buy from people, like you mentioned. At the end of the day, because we are connecting with them at a human level, they know that we understand their problem, and that's what we are solving. Let's say I'm talking something about trees, and the audience are all about in a cyber game and so forth. Probably they may not be the right kind of uh, 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 content. When let's say I'm targeting something for women of let's say people who are looking for jobs, and now I'm only going for places where um, it's male dominated or it's in a completely corporate world, etc. It's, I mean, sending the content doesn't mean that it's just sending the content. Otherwise, it becomes spray and pray again. If you highlight it, even sending 5 things to the right person is way better than sending 5 million things to the wrong audience.
Exactly. And this is very important to understand, which platforms actually do you need to focus on as well, and how to create and curate that content as well. So we'll talk a bit more about, and this is very relevant in all the platforms, but specifically in some industries like yours, Chief. LinkedIn is one of the biggest. So we'll talk about those as well in the coming slides. The other thing is, when you create content, when you publish and post content, you should always have a goal, a purpose for every single piece of content that goes online, whether it's on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or X, should we say, and TikTok, Threads, whatever platform it is. Every piece of content should serve a purpose, whether it's a brand awareness, sales, more sales, customer support, FAQ, whatever it may be. But we should always have this very clear in our mind, so that we can create the right kind of content for the users. Okay. The next one is, I want to talk a little bit about the content. When we create content, we always say focus on the 3 core pillars, and then the rest will follow. Basically, the first one is educate the customer. Now, as I said, in a lot of these platforms, when people come to your content, they may not necessarily know who you are. So you need to educate them about your business, right? What you do, what is your product, what is your, what's good about your product. Maybe show some analytics, show some sales figures, or some value about your products. and then also create kind of like a humorous content as well, maybe a bit funny, maybe a bit sarcastic, maybe a bit controversial as well actually, because you want to spark that conversation on these platforms. So when somebody says something like um, I didn't know what to say, or I didn't know what I was actually getting myself into, that's a kind of conversation starting statements. And we need to have this in our content, whether it's in a humorous, funny way, or whether it's in a whatever it may be. But we need to have some kind of it's like a hook that we need to add into this content.
I
Then the
just
other one
want to
is,
comment, Shazad, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt here.
sure, sure.
I mean, we have some example comments coming. The first 4 or 5 words are the ones that people see on their notification, whether it is a LinkedIn notification or a Facebook notification or Insta and so forth, where things like when I walked into, because people cannot see the rest of it, or something like you can't believe what happened. I know we cannot make it very dramatic every time. We have to be creative enough to keep the audience, because the audience, they're very clever. They will move away if we do not engage them. Another one which really helps is a statistic, which is something that helps people learn. 7% of this, etc. Because that's all I have seen, and now I want to know more, and I click on that notification, and that's a really educative, valuable hook, not just a hook as a clickbait, more like a hook that creates value. And that keeps bringing people back.
100%. And this is so true and valid, because like I said, it sparks that conversation, and like you said, it creates that curiosity of, oh, I want to see what's next, right? So that's what we need to aim for when we create the content. And also, another type of content is share your success stories about your business. What have you achieved as a major milestone in your business. Talk about company's vision, and talk about customer loyalty, customer retention. Also, it can be as simple as you take your team for a lunch or a dinner. Share those kind of stories, so that people know that there is a team and there is a genuine people behind this company and this name.
I'll share a funny one that came from another team member. They were queuing up for a coffee, and then next to the coffee machine, they were meeting somewhere, etc., etc. And just at that point, the coffee ran out. And that created a story out of it, because there were 5 people waiting and they're talking and so forth. And you could easily see that no, this was not AI generated. This is something that happened. And the person who was waiting in the queue, one of them was a senior person. They kind of chatted up, etc. And that human story stayed, and and it led to more business, by the way, because they had more time to talk while waiting for coffee.
And that's such a good story actually, and people want to see those kind of behind the scenes stories, unedited kind of stories. What happens in a day to day in your office or in your business. People want to hear about it and see this. And once you do all of this, the end goal will automatically be achieved, which is more traffic. You generate more traffic, you pull more people towards your brand, towards your account, and so on and so forth. So that will automatically happen. But when we talk about the EDIT, it's always the first three pillars that we want to focus on. Okay, moving on to the next slide, and as we said, keep the comments and questions coming, please, on whichever platform you are watching. We are trying to answer it as quickly as we can as well. So let's dive into LinkedIn as our first platform, and um, LinkedIn for businesses is sometimes we call it a gold mine, because LinkedIn is one of the biggest platforms with a huge number of people on it, 1.15 billion people globally. Um, and only in the UK, we have just under 48 million users actually. So the reach is massive. It's huge for business owners, and especially when we talk about SMEs. 1.15, even 1 billion is actually quite a lot for us, or 47, 48 million just in the UK. This is a big pool of people and potential contacts that we can approach. But one of the main things that we always say is LinkedIn focuses on going deep into the conversations. They want to go really deep into the analysis, the opinions, your own analysis, your own opinion about a certain subject matter. Don't go for literally anything and everything. It does not work on LinkedIn. They really want to focus on, and they promote your own analysis. Let's say, for example, something happens in the oil prices. I'll give you an example, right? You heard the news, you share from maybe one of the news sources, but have your own analysis on that news. And this is exactly what LinkedIn actually loves. They want your own analysis, your own opinion. What's your thought about this? Oil prices have gone up or down. What do you think? How is that going to impact your industry? How is that going to impact your line of business? Okay, you may be in the production or manufacturing business. How does that impact you as a business owner? So I always say, go deep into the thinking of on LinkedIn.
And these kind of opinions, LinkedIn actually openly dislikes any automated comments that are created, and when these kind of opinion come, it knows the original content coming in, including asking a question, because sometimes you may not have an insight or a suggestion. You could ask, how does it help you, or how does it matter, and so forth, because asking a question out of genuine curiosity always continues the conversation.
Absolutely. And yeah, and this is why LinkedIn is used by so many people to know different opinions, right? And the whole point is actually that it's really focused on a subject matter. Now, I'm going to take one of your examples here, Jeev. I hope you don't mind. But in LinkedIn, like you mentioned earlier on, is the first few words of the post that really makes the difference. If you're on the platform on LinkedIn already, you will see normally like maybe about 3 rows of the text of any post, right? And in that 3 rows, or maybe 2 rows, you should really have the hook. The hook is, like you said earlier on, um, 7% of XYZ happened, right? Or you achieved 2% extra on your over your sales target, or whatever it may be. But create that hook in the first 25 words, or maybe even less than that if you can, before you see the hidden text. And this is one example of where you created a post where let me just try to zoom in a
Yeah,
bit.
I simply wrote there, I walked into this exhibition not knowing what's going to happen. And that created a sense of curiosity. And just the first line made people click on it, and they also got back their promise of the insights from there. And for those who can go back to that post, if you open it, I've started sharing, this person was there sharing this at the expo, that person taught me this and that in the expo. In fact, I learned something about the care industry. I learned something about the well-being dog who is on the picture, and so forth. So they come with a hook, but unlike a clickbait, they actually get value with the rest of the post. If the hook simply says, you can't believe what happened, they might click once, they might click twice, but our audience is way cleverer, so they will not come back. So, hook is something that emotionally makes them curious enough to go inside and look at it, and then we deliver with the rest of the post on some substance, a statistic, a lesson, an observation, something that makes them, oh, you know what, that was few seconds well spent.
Absolutely, and this is where we see from the statistics as well. If you go to your own account and you can see the statistics, the engagement rate, you can already see the comments and the likes and everything else. So that clearly shows when you start a post with something like this, with a statement or a question, it always generates more engagement, and leads to more meaningful conversations as well. The other thing is, if you have some kind of documents like PDFs or PowerPoints, um, it is kind of new, not so new, but new because not a lot of people use it. So we always recommend sharing some kind of slides or some kind of PDFs. As well, actually, because this is one of the sort of alternative to Instagram reels and Facebook carousels and stuff like that. So this is the LinkedIn version of that, essentially, right? So if you have anything like that, we strongly suggest you share this on your LinkedIn account as well. Plus, also, if you have a team and they are on LinkedIn, encourage them to talk about the business as well, right? Because it should not be just you as a business owner talking about your business. Bring other people as well, to talk about their how they feel being part of your business, your company, and they can share their comments, and that organically creates that kind of engagement and an environment where your post and your company's profile actually is highlighted and raised a lot more than others. And the other one is the dwell time. We call it the dwell time, which is basically, if your post is engaging, how much time are people spending on that post to stay on the platform? A lot of um, platforms love this, because the more they can keep people on their platform, the better it is for them. And the same goes for LinkedIn as well, because it's obviously keeping people on their platform is beneficial for them. Um, Now, the next one is Meta. Meta is, of course, as we know, Facebook and Instagram, and they have Threads as well. But this is where a lot of the short form content is getting popularity, as well as the community aspect from Facebook, especially, is heavily promoted and favored as well. So let's talk about numbers. Facebook globally has 3 billion, just over 3 billion people, whereas Instagram has 1.5 billion globally. With Facebook, of course, in the UK, if we talk about, is just over 55 million, which is a huge amount. Again, um, what Facebook really loves is the community pages. You may have seen on your local Facebook. If you, let's say, if you live in London, you can go to so many different groups in London, actually. Whether it's, if you're if you like piano lessons, for example, guitar lessons or dancing lessons or something like that, there will always be some kind of groups for that in your local community. So if you haven't explored this already, we strongly suggest go and have a look and be part of those groups as well, because this is how you promote your business and grow contacts as well. And this comes back to that community where Facebook is heavily pushing the community aspect of their platform. Um, in terms of Instagram, they are really focusing and pushing on reels and stories, because they are getting more and more engagement. Their algorithm is changing as well, so the hashtags don't really matter anymore in terms of reels, um, and so on and so forth. So always try to focus on these things when you want to grow your business. Okay. The other few things to keep in mind about Facebook is, as I said, community is massive. If you are part of any of the groups, the community, Facebook is likely to push your content a lot more in those. Short and conversational, yes, they want to have, they want to engage and promote that conversation as well. And based on that, if you are able to collect some information from people, that you can use it for the ads as well, because when you target the paid ads, this is where Facebook is collecting a lot of the information in the background, to tailor your paid ads to the right people. So on the back of the conversations and the communities, Facebook is using that to push your ads to the right people, so that the end result will be we spend less money and reach out to more people. Okay. Um, Going on to now, the short form video. Now, I talked about short form video, which is very, very big on Instagram. Uh, of course, it's on other platforms as well. But in terms of TikTok, and when we create any short form content, we always talk about the hook. One of the surveys, and I'll just briefly mention this. One of the recent surveys shows that people coming onto social media have a attention span of 3 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, not more than that, and they don't want to stay on any content for any longer than that, which is shocking, right?
But true, it's true.
It is.
It's people. If it does not interest them, people move on. And
Absolutely.
people are probably hooked to the wrong thing, just because it is more exciting. They missed our message as small businesses. They might be looking at a cat singing because it is way more funnier compared to us trying to sell something or create value. So we are not just competing with the other small businesses, but even cats singing.
Absolutely, and this is where it doesn't matter if your brand is a premium brand or a um, budget brand. It doesn't really matter where you are. You have to focus on creating content which serves different purposes. Um, like you said, people may scroll up on your video, but may start watching a cat dancing or a cat jumping up and down because that's more entertaining, right? But if one previous video to that, if your content was as entertaining, obviously not cat dancing or whatever, but related to your business but more entertaining, they would have stopped and actually watched your content, right? So the point I'm trying to make is you, as a business owner, you need to focus on creating all sorts of different content. It doesn't have to be, if you lose that customer in those 3 seconds, that's your opportunity gone, unfortunately. And that may have been a paid ad, but you lost the opportunity. So you need to have a strong hook in every video. Then you need to explain your video to see, to tell people what's the value. um, and the last one is the call to action. The call to action has to be really, really snappy, short, and to the point, right? Because people have already spent like 15 to 18 seconds on that video. We know that span is 3 seconds, so you've already done really well. The call to action has to be really sharp, just to the point. And this goes for all the platforms.
We just got a comment about statistics. Not everybody likes statistics. For example, if your audience likes emotions and so forth, stick to that in the hook. Because I mean, certain audience likes statistics and certain audience likes something else. Uh, so just because in this strategy session where we are sharing that you should give some insight. That insight is something that is valuable to your core audience. They will love you for that.
Absolutely, and this is very important. Understanding your statistics and your customers is very important. All of these platforms have one kind of a few different statistics. You know, they tell you about the engagement as well. They talk about the demographics and everything else. So it's always important to understand your statistics and create content accordingly as well. So yeah, rightly said. Okay, in Instagram, talking about Instagram, they heavily promote and like retention. Um, what is retention in simple terms? People staying on your content for longer, right? People saving your content as well, because as we earlier said, if they can come back to a saved piece of content, it means you're bringing people to that particular platform, and that platform loves it. Instagram actually loves it. Um, they also heavily are focused on the DMs as well, and the shares. Same as Facebook as well. They have the same kind of matrix in here as well. And don't, you know, the saves, the shares, and these kind of things does not have to be always on one particular piece of content. You can have all the sort of different content, content like FAQs, you know, success stories, and stuff like that. So, you know, whatever it is, just post the content, but it needs to serve a purpose, as I said earlier on. The other thing in Instagram, I'm not sure if you guys know, but from July this year, I think it was 10th of July, if I'm not mistaken, Instagram started to push videos actually into Google SEO. And Google is pulling a lot of the video content as they're into their SEO as well. And if you have noticed, anytime you go on Google and search for something, the results will always now show a new tab which is called videos, right? And if you go to, like, I've just given you an example again from your example, Jeev. If you just search Step It Up Academy in Google, one of the results that for the in the videos tab is your Instagram post. Okay, and that just shows the video content on Instagram is being automatically fed into SEO and the search engines. Google is loving it. Obviously, it gives Instagram and Meta more exposure, but it also helps Google as a platform, as a search engine as well, because you now have video content. You know, not many people wants to read, but if they can watch, and if they like to watch a piece of content, then it's there for them as well. So it helps Google, it helps Meta, and it helps, you know, us as business owners. Okay, now swiftly moving on to TikTok. Now a lot of people, and I mean business owners, when I talk to them, there's a big misconception that TikTok is a teenage platform for kids, and, you know, just for fun. It's actually not. In fact, TikTok is the biggest growing platform at the moment globally. Um, People like British Airways, Waitrose, Marks and Spencers, you know, these people are advertising. They're paying money to advertise on TikTok. Why? Because they see the potential, and their reach on TikTok is a lot more than what you would normally get on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So this is also where a lot of people are now starting to create their personal brand as well, right? Because you now have, obviously, a page for your business on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram. But as a business owner, as an individual, you know, we talked about people buy from people. And TikTok is the platform where you can create your personal branding. There may be something that people like about your personality. Elaborate on that. Focus on your personal skills, right? And create a personal brand so that people can connect with you. People want to listen to you. People want to hear you. So just a quick comparison. I mean, as I said, TikTok is expanding rapidly. But as a comparison to Instagram, um, Instagram was launched in the UK in 2010. Up until now, they have 37 million users, but only about 5 or just almost 6 years ago, TikTok was launched, and they're not far behind Instagram.
No, the progress is massive, isn't it? It's astronomical.
It's massive. It's the growth, it has been um, phenomenal. And it's, as I said, it's not just the fastest growing platform in the UK, but it's globally as well. The barrier to entry is quite low, and that's why a lot of brands are jumping in here as well. In fact, when TikTok, from business perspective, when they started launching live e-commerce, which is called live commerce, actually that made Amazon realize that they need to start something similar. And in the US, if you see at the moment, the US Amazon has a live commerce feature as well. It's not available in the UK or Europe or anywhere else right now, but as far as I know, it's coming to the UK very soon. But it was only once they realized how big the potential is on TikTok, and people are actually doing business on TikTok. People are actually buying stuff on TikTok. Um, you know, uh, uh, we say Amazon has Prime, but TikTok has their own TikTok shop, right? People are now launching brands on TikTok before they go to Amazon, because Amazon has, it's a bit complicated. There's a lot more requirements. And as I said, a barrier to entry, sorry, on TikTok is a lot lower. So you can launch your brand a lot quicker on TikTok as a platform than, Shopify or Amazon or your own website.
I just saw a comment from Louis that says TikTok also has a really good geographical tagging, meaning if you tag, let's say I'm posting this in Staines in near London or Camberley in Surrey, etc., then it targets the people near you and so forth. So that geographical targeting is quite well advanced in that platform, especially in TikTok for business.
Absolutely, and this is where, as I said, TikTok algorithm is one of the most advanced algorithms actually out of all these, because they are looking at so many different things. Of course, they're collecting a lot of data, but that makes the platform and the algorithm work much better for us as users and for as a business owners. Okay, so just swiftly moving on, how do you now um, grow on TikTok? I think that's the question. In my opinion, and from what we have seen from the statistics, the data that we have, similar to Instagram, TikTok also favors retention, but they also favors replay as well. Okay, so if you have a piece of content which is, let's say, um, 50 seconds, right? And only 10 seconds are being watched, TikTok is going to push your content down in the ranking, because it's not getting, that kind of retention. Ideally, they're looking for about 90% retention. Now, I know 90% is a lot in TikTok. Even if you get like 15 or 20%, that's absolutely really good. But if your content is being watched 90%, right, it is actually a really good content.
That's
um
powerful to know. I did not know that this is so powerful to know.
yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing, is every time you want to create a long video, let's say even 60 seconds, right? In social media, it's a long video. If you want to create a 60 seconds video, always say at the start to say stay until the end, because there's something that you're going to like, or you don't want to miss the end, right? You want to say something like that so that people can watch until the end. And the platform actually loves this kind of retention. And again, between 1 and 3 seconds, you need to have that hook, otherwise you lose the viewer. Now, I want to give you one example on TikTok, and as I said, they love authentic, genuine content. Um, they love the UGC, user generated content look, as well. And as I said earlier on, if you're a business owner, go to your place of business, your work, and just start creating content, right? Um, and if you're not posting, please just start to post. It doesn't have to be the perfect content. TikTok loves UGC, which is unedited, and it doesn't have to be flashy, glamorous, or well edited. Just start creating content. I always say, if you're starting out new on TikTok, start posting at least 3 times a day and be consistent. Consistency is the name of the game on all the platforms, whether you talk about Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not as much, to be honest, but with the other platforms, consistency is really, really the key.
Did I hear that right? 3 times a day for TikTok and once in a few days for LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah,
That,
absolutely
that
right.
to me that sounds like prescriptive medicines. Like take this tablet for 3 times a day, but that one for once a week, something like that. Because this is more like paracetamol when you are not well, and something else, etc. I mean, sorry, I sound like a senior citizen, but yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Something is really really valuable. You have to keep doing it.
You have to, and this is why, and this is the reason why I've actually got this example on the right hand side. This person who started to have a cookies, or I think it was um, what was it called, the business, sorry, is too small on the screen, I can't see. Brownie God, right? She started a business in COVID, and she started posting on TikTok, and she was getting good enough views, like maybe 20,000, 25,000, 18,000, 17,000, and stuff like that. But she made one video, and if I don't know if you can see, there is this brown chocolate being poured into a tray for actually, right? As soon as she posted that video, this is probably, when you go onto her account, you watch the video, this is probably for like 10-12 seconds video. All she's doing is pouring that liquid chocolate paste into a tray, a baking tray, and that got 1.9 million views. And from that video, she just exploded on TikTok, and now she's got a good few million followers actually on TikTok. In fact, she has, no, I lied, 611,000 followers on TikTok. So again, and she's received 25 million likes.
Look at that. I'll be honest on two things. One is I'm already checking her account, but I really have a craving for chocolate now.
Are you trying to say to close this end this workshop quicker, Jeev?
No, I'm saying that every audience member should get some free chocolates.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, why don't we offer that in our next in-person workshop? Yeah. So it just goes to show what I'm trying to sort of explain here is, when I say post 3 times a day, it doesn't have to be a well edited content. You don't have to pay a professional editor to and spend hundreds of pounds or maybe thousands of pounds even in some cases to edit the videos for you. You can just simply make a video, post it online. It doesn't have any even captions, to be honest, on a lot of her initial videos.
I think it goes to show what you said at the very beginning. Authenticity matters more than polish. And there are many times when as small business owners, we might actually put our own insecurity on our services as well as media that we are creating, saying that, oh, maybe we got to hire somebody really expensive and throw the entire bank account into it, and just to see nothing has happened, and we say, you know what, social media doesn't work. On the other side, if you are authentic and you're connecting it to your audience, look at the kind of transformation that has happened without subtitles or without completely refined, polished, mind-blowing things, and that's what is the human connection that works.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where we say if one piece of content doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Create more, just post more. Simple as that. You know. So anyway, it's important to trial and test different ways of creating content and posting different things, even at different times as well. And if a piece of content doesn't work, take it down and post it back up, and it works especially on TikTok. YouTube and these platforms don't like reposting the same content, but with TikTok it doesn't matter. You can post the same thing a few times. So, but you can, what that will enable you to do is to test, what works, what doesn't work for you.
Did I hear you right by saying that you can take it down and repost and it still works?
Yes, yeah. On TikTok it does. On YouTube and Facebook they don't like it,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But on TikTok they don't really care. Up until now, it may change, and as I said, the algorithm changes quite frequently. So
Yeah,
who knows?
that's the thing. The key rules about every algorithm will change, and they're not going to make it public because the moment they make it public, people will try to reverse engineer it. So it will keep changing, but what is not going to change is how you approach your audience, how you attract your audience, how you keep them hooked, how you keep them engaged. And many times, if one thing is not working on one platform, it definitely works on another platform, as long as you know where your audience is living.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also sort of comes back to what Jeev does with his academy and business as well. With you need to have a very clear vision and goals and strategy about your business as well, right? If your content, what you're posting and what you're publishing is not aligned to your strategy, you're completely going in a wrong direction, unfortunately. And this is where um, you know when we align ourselves, when we get together, we make sure that the strategy, the content, and everything else goes in the same direction, and they are fully aligned. Okay, so repurposing content, as I said, some platforms don't like it at all. But what I really mean by repurposing the content is you have various different sources of information, where one may be your website, one may be your email marketing. You also have podcasts as well. You may be creating like testimonials, videos and stuff. You have social media and everything else. Create those, bring them together and post it on different platforms, right? It could be something about industry news, which is relevant on LinkedIn. It is also relevant on Facebook, for example. Um, when you do a podcast, you do a podcast, but don't publish it on just one platform. You can publish it on different platforms. Slice it, dice it, and make it relevant for each platform. But of course, you don't have to recreate the whole podcast just for a different platform, right? What we
Parts
do,
of it can also be like maybe, for example, you're doing a podcast and you had a really nice quote, and just that quote is like 2 seconds or 5 seconds, and you could re use that as a reel or something or on Insta. But the podcast might be 30 minutes, but this one is 5 seconds of repetition that created a hook, and that helps. Just to interrupt here, one person has asked here, will we get the slides? Yes, you will get the slides and you will get the recording as well. So please do not worry, you will get the slides. We'll be sharing all of this. Yeah.
yeah. And that's actually very interesting comment, Jeev. You mentioned about if there's a quote, for example, in the long video, take it and slice it and put it as a reel or a short form content. And that really works, because when we talk about the retention and the attention span, right, it can only be 3 or 5 seconds, right? So a quote is probably no longer than 3 to 5 seconds anyway. So, and that really works. One, it works with retention. Secondly, because if it's a short video, it helps you with the replays as well. And TikTok and Instagram loves replays. So always try to focus on repurposing the content, in different forms. Now, as a for anyone, some of you may already have your social media and your account set up and well established, and that's great. For some of you, this may be new, or you may be thinking of creating your social media accounts on all the different platforms. So we're just going to give you a few tips of what you should really look for when you create these accounts. On LinkedIn, they're really looking for deep insights and conversations, right? They want to promote personal thoughts, opinions, and analysis on the different subject matters. You should also have your personal account, of course, but also if your business does not have a page on LinkedIn, you must have a page. Please create a page for your business as well. And once you've created the page, go onto your personal account and see how many contacts you have. Let's say you have 500 contacts. Invite all of those 500 contacts onto to follow your business page. And that's how you can quickly, in no time, grow your business followers on LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn is also providing, I think, 250 email credits every month for pages if you have a page. It is quite low if you have an individual profile, unless you have a premium account. But for a page, especially, they are providing these messaging services, so you can use those credits for free, and it resets every month.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, in terms of Meta, what it promotes really is the family and friends kind of connections and groups. Like I said, if you're part of a local group, you can promote yourself, your business, your services, whatever it is, and it also leads to that community building as well. So Facebook absolutely loves this. If you're not already part of any groups locally, please join the local groups for whatever interests you have. Also, if you're creating a business account or a page for your business, make sure that it is actually set up properly. You need to have a Meta Business Suite for it, and once you have done that, you can do a lot more in terms of running ads, managing it by a third party, or it's open for a lot more collaborations and connections. So make sure that you have Meta Business Suite, and your business page is set up as a proper business, not just as a personal page. And we can help with that as well. If you have any questions, or if you get stuck, or if you're not sure, please reach out to me, and we can always help you as well. In terms of YouTube, they love user generated content. They same as Instagram as well, but they also have long form content and YouTube Shorts as well. But it's a bit more, well edited, a bit more glamorous, polished content they prefer. But if you're not sure, just start posting, and you will see what works and what doesn't work.
Shahzad, someone is asking what about the load so many AI generated videos that are coming on YouTube, left, right, and center, and mimicking celebrity voices and so forth. Do they really work? Is it just creating a huge amount of content but not really traction? Does it convert? What's your opinion on those?
AI content and AI generated content is actually quite a lot and is growing on all the platforms. What you will normally see is all these platforms will have at the bottom, maybe either left or right, will have some kind of a disclaimer to say this is AI generated content, right? But um, we can't hide away from the reality, and it is that it is gaining traction. Yes, it is becoming more and more popular, but as long as your content is good, I see a lot of content, AI generated content, which is, frankly speaking, is really poor quality. And if you want to compete with that, there's no point, because what you want is to publish quality content, because at the end of the day, that content represents your brand.
It comes down to value and quality.
Absolutely, absolutely. With TikTok, again, if you're just starting off, you can have a personal account on TikTok. Just register. It's free. All of these are free anyway. But register as a personal account. You can later switch it to a business account at no cost. But again, we can help, and we can guide you on all of these platforms as well. What to do and what's the right strategy, and what to look for, in terms of account creations, and the do's and the don'ts and stuff like that. So reach out to us if you have any questions, and we can help with that as well. And as I said, we can, as a digital marketing agency, we can help SMEs, grow on social media. It is what we do every day, right? We create content, we manage it for them as well, and we see the data, the analytics behind each account. So we can also tell you what works and what doesn't work. But more importantly, two things. One is what's coming next, so that we can guide you, and we can also help you in terms of consultancy or guidance and coaching as well, for social media growth and strategy, and what to prepare for the future. So if any one of you is interested, we have a few different ways to help, and we can talk about it. These packages can be tailored to each business, because we believe not two businesses are the same, and everyone has different requirements. So we can tailor anything to according to your needs. So please do reach out to us if you have any questions, or if you need any help, and we can always set up some time to talk about it.
One of the things I have seen is the proof is in the pudding. It works, and many times small businesses come at various stages. Some are experts at social media, but they don't know how to run day-to-day operational or financial statistics. But some are really good at what they do. I usually say every small business is a dream. You are living you want to create something, whether it is a bakery, whether it is website designing, whether it is construction and so forth. Every small business is a dream, and you're taking this dream from A to B, and it's better to do new mistakes rather than repeat someone else's mistakes. And many companies, especially Shazad has been talking with companies of every size, every kind, every sector, and that cross fertilization really helps bring that um, insight and and take it to the next level. This particular one, for some, it might feel basic. For some, it might feel, oh wow, this is something I did not know. I personally, even though I think that I know some things, I'm a big believer of I don't know what I don't know. And I learned a lot of things today. In this series, we are going to bring you some more advanced workshops. And like Shazad mentioned, we are here to help. If you are interested in any of these workshops, you can contact him and we will make sure we tailor it, we answer the questions, and we make sure that you focus on your business while the social media becomes an accelerator to your growth.
Absolutely, and you know, like you said, Jeev, you know, we're here to help. We deal with these platforms on daily basis, so you know, we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and we can guide you in the right direction. We can help you and give you the right advice as well.
Brilliant. I can see a bunch of comments coming saying thank you, and some of you have found it very useful. So, sincere thanks for sharing that. It means the world to us. When we are doing a live like this, we have to cater to a wider variety of audience, but we will make it more and more specific. The one thing I have learned to share, and that is something, Shazad, we can end this with, and you can add some more comments from your side. Whatever you do, add that additional joy into the social media because that brings authenticity. Add that additional fun into it because that brings engagement. Add that additional bit of value in it because that makes your customer come back for more. And the rest of it, I mean, if somebody says cat videos are really good, I mean, no offense to cat lovers, I personally love them, and I love dogs as well, and everyone else. However, as small businesses, you are here for your customer, and the customer is here for you. So the more fun, engagement, value you create, your business takes off like anything. So have fun doing it. I am really looking forward to some new posts, some new social media things. Tag us saying that Shajat mentioned this and I have done that and this worked and that worked did not work. So we are here to listen to that. So that's it. Have fun while doing this social media.
Absolutely, yeah, and thank you everyone for joining. It's really appreciated, and I hope it was useful for you. Like Jeev said, you know, post it on social media, LinkedIn or whatever platform, and tag us and say something did work, something didn't work, and you know, it will be really useful to hear your feedback as well.
The funniest comments win something special, and all the slides will be shared, the recordings will be shared, and we will come back with more. Keep the questions coming and keep growing. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care.